sharing with you all a little bit this afternoon. Thank you for starting the recording, Mike. Our session, Supercharging Searching with Galileo Embedded Search Boxes. This is our new embedded Bento search functionality. Very excited to share this with you, and wanted to point to the great dedication of our development team, who continues to add great new features for us to use in Galileo. So in addition to covering the new features and functionality, I will take a few minutes today at the end of the session to review. We have about, like I said, just a quick 30-minute session. So I'll also review some features and functionality of Bento that you may have missed, that we've covered in previous sessions, and that are very, very powerful. We're working to make this, I think, an incredibly powerful search tool. I know that Bento may not be everyone's cup of tea, but I just went to a public library staff development day at Clayton County Public Library yesterday, and I heard so much good stuff about the way reference librarians, for example, are using Bento and the way their patrons like it. So I think there's a lot of really strong positives there too. So I encourage you, even if it may not be your favorite mode of searching, there are a lot of users out there that do like it. We've heard a lot of really good positive feedback. So just think about ways that you might use it. Might you use this unique embedded functionality to improve user searching? And I encourage you to ask questions as we go through. With that in mind, just a couple of logistics today. Mike White is here with us from the Galileo support team. I know all of you know and love Mike. He's constantly helping us all out with keeping things going. And Mike will be relaying questions for me. I can't see the questions as they come in into the chat, so I will be relying on Mike to I will make a stop for every few minutes to call for questions, and Mike will read any questions to me that have come through during that time, just to make sure that we're answering your questions. And Mike, if anything seems super urgent and as if I should answer it right away, let me know. So we'll go ahead and move with that mode of operation and get started. So let's go ahead and jump in. Just what I want to cover today with you all is, first of all, our agenda, just to review recently added Bento features, and we'll kind of put that last. I don't want to bury the lead here, but we'll talk a little bit about the filters that we've added, the Bento customization, and the customized views that you can add and capture. I'll start today with the introduction to the tools area in Galileo, where the new embedded Bento functionality can be acquired. We'll also take a quick look while we're there about at the Galileo embedded search box and shareable links, just some of the other functionality that you'll find in the Galileo tools area. I think it's an overlooked area that we want to emphasize more. Ultimately, I hope that we can put the tools in a place where it's a little bit more obvious for you. We've been thinking about that. But I'll show you where it lives and how to access it and everything that lives there currently. There's also the main thing is the embeddable Bento boxes, what they look like and how they work. I'll share that with you. A little bit about what's next with these embeddable Bento boxes. We've kind of taken the first steps here with this functionality, and we're planning to add some functionality and improve some access to the embeddable Bento boxes long term. And I'd love to have some time. Usually we'll have a little bit of time at the end, hopefully, to let you all ask questions, offer feedback on this functionality, let us know what you think, let us know what we might be missing. Well, hey, here's a feature or functionality of this that you could add that would really improve this for me and my users. Don't hesitate to, at the end of time, share that with us as we go through. So with that in mind, I've talked a lot already, and we're 5 minutes in. I want to go ahead and launch into taking a look at the new Bento functionality, the embeddable Bento boxes. But before we do, Mike, I'm just going to take a quick pause to see if there's any questions or issues before we dig in.
No questions right now.
Well, that sounds great. Love it. So I'm going to go ahead and start in Galileo, and I am starting today. I'll be honest, I am prepping for another staff development day at West Georgia Regional Library coming up soon. So, hey, that's where I happen to be in Galileo today. So that's where we are. I also like working where I can show you multiple views for those of you who may be coming from the K-12 space or the public library space. It's good to see that this functionality actually does live across multiple views. When I speak of views, I talk about the ability to go into an elementary, middle, high school, or full or educator view to access that user-specific functionality, that age grouping specific functionality. So I'm here in West Georgia Regional Library. And as I mentioned, the first thing I want to share with you all today is the new functionality and where it lives. The Bento search, some of you probably been using it. I hope so. And what I'm going to talk about, first of all, is to just show you. See, I'm scrolling here. I'm going down to the tools area of Galileo. So I don't want to confuse. We haven't put this new functionality in with the embedding a Galileo search box. The plain old vanilla Galileo search box, again, this is an area we'll actually be adding some functionality to, is here. This is just the plain search box. There's no additional limits applied in the plain Galileo search box, but you can take this, embed it on your website, embed it in your LMS, embed it places as well. But I wanted to mention that one in passing while we're on the way to our shareable links area. Now, the shareable links area is where currently the embeddable Bento code lives. So I'm going to go ahead and pop into shareable links and show you what's available here. Let me show you just a little bit of everything. For those of you who work in public and K-12 libraries, one of the neat things I feel like we've done is we have a link specifically for your institution to each of the views. If you grab this shareable link, it'll just take you to the elementary view for West Georgia Regional Library. So if you're an elementary focused media specialist, or you work in the kids department at a public library and you want to have a link directly to that elementary view, you can capture it there. Same for any of the three views. Then we have shareable links to your A to Z list. And I think this can be really valuable if you'd like to quickly and easily and publicly provide users with a list of all of your databases on a per view basis, or for the full view for all of the A to Z. There's a shareable link for that. And what's nice about these shareable links is even if a user is not logged in, they can view this list of databases, and they'll just be prompted to log in once they click on a specific database that they would like to use, and then they log in and they're good to go. They can access that database once they click on it. So that's the shareable A to Z lists. Then we have the shareable links to public library Bento search pages. And you see they're divided out by the different views. And let's go ahead and be in the full view, the full grown-up view of Galileo here. And this is where we've added both a link to an individual Bento. So for example, I'm a public library staff member. I want to do a program where people are looking very specifically for the hundreds of thousands of ebooks that Galileo provides. I can click on the ebook button here, the little share button. I click on it, and it provides me with two things. It provides me with a link, and this is just what it says it is, this shareable link to the Bento itself, so the Bento box. So I can copy this link. I'm just going to pop this link into a new browser window so you can see. And it takes me to that ebook search. And also, after I do a search here in ebooks, it will provide me with the full functionality, search functionality with filters on the side and all of that added functionality that we bring forth. Also, the image of the book comes through in that Bento search, so you get a lot of the functionality just with that link to the Bento. Where we've added value and functionality here is this is the embed code. So what you can do here is, instead of just having that static link to that search, which is great to have and very useful, you can also embed that search. So people are actually seeing a search box on your website live when you go to it. And all you have to do to utilize that code is to copy it. And I am going to show an example of adding a Bento box from LibGuides. And LibGuides is not something that every library has. A lot of our academic libraries have it. Public libraries, K-12 libraries, you'll have things like your learning management system. You'll have other content management systems. I know a lot of people use Google as their content management system. You may have a county-wide content management system, but almost all of these systems will, if you're building a web page or a page, a class page, and then will allow you to embed code. There may be different ways of doing it depending on your particular piece of what you see is what you get editing. So I can take this code. I'm just, again, showing you the example in LibGuides. Full knowledge that not everyone has LibGuides. But if I come here into LibGuides, LibGuides is actually really great for adding this kind of functionality because I can go into my page here. And then I can go ahead and create. I'm just creating a new tab for this. I'm going to go ahead and save my position, and that's going to put my new box there at the top of my list. Get out of here. Sorry, I have to have different levels of viewability at different places. So I can go ahead and close that. So I've added a tab, and I have my ebooks for public library patrons. And again, this is just, this is the way we do it. This in LibGuides, and again, your software or web editor may vary. I have the ability to add media widget, and I'll just name it. In the case of LibGuides, it makes it really easy. I can simply paste that embed code, then I save it, and I've added that new ebooks bento to the search. And then once I want to go to my live page here, I have a preview. I just really hate how Teams pins this to the top. There we go. Get it out of my way. I can go to my preview page. I'm going to reload it, and I'll see that new bento ebooks for library patrons now appears there. Now, I actually happen to be logged in right now to the library. If I wasn't logged in, if a patron was accessing a website or a learning management page and they were not logged in to Galileo, they would be asked to log in once they got started. But in this particular case, I'm already logged in, so it's going to take me straight to results here on the page. So that's how it works. It's very simple functionality, but I just love it that we can now add a visual search to something that people can see, a place where people can enter search terms and limit to a particular material type on their library website. So that is the new functionality, just one piece of it. Any questions so far, Mike, just to make sure that I'm being clear and covering everything well?
No questions right now.
I'll give a brief pause, and if anybody has a question, feel free to type it in. I'll give it about 10 seconds, and then I'm going to show you just another example of how you can use that particular snippet of bento box code. Just making sure no one's typing away at a question, Mike, and then I'll show you that. All right, so the next thing I want to share is just, you might be just building a web page, in which case you can take this code and integrate it into any HTML page. I am so far behind on my HTML, how to look at it, how to use it, HTML coding, but I built a very, very, very basic web page. And this is my code, and I have captured and included, starting right about here, after this page break, you can see the embed code that I captured out of Galileo. So there's nothing fancy I had to do. I just put in a couple of HTML tags and a header at the top. Nothing fancy at all. And then, again, this is just straight HTML. And this is what it looks like. And again, it's not very pretty. I didn't spend a lot of time building it, but I've integrated a scholarly articles bento here into just a simple website, just to show you that if you can develop an HTML, if you can add an HTML page, then you can actually add this embed code. So it's pretty flexible. The one qualifier I will offer, again, I've done this in a what you see is what you get editing type thing with LibGuides. I've done it with straight HTML code. You can do it. I know there's embeddable pieces and places where you can do embeds and learning management systems. I will say, Mike, and I believe we've had some issues in the past with things like Canvas and some other places where we had to get specialized code. We had to edit it and tweak it a little bit to make sure it worked in certain circumstances. So my comment to you with that is if you try to use the Galileo embed code and it does not work for any reason, we can help you to make it work. We can take it back to the developer, see what's going on. see what error messages you're getting when you attempt to use it, and we will make that code. In all likelihood, we can make it work for you. I will say if that happens, this is just the perfect opportunity to utilize the Galileo support button, which you'll see at the top of most Galileo pages. Just click on that and submit us a technical support form. Let us know, hey, I tried this in my local Canvas or I tried it in my local Google Classroom, and for whatever reason, it did not work for me. And we'll be more than happy to take a look at it, figure out exactly what's going on, and make sure that embeddable code will work for your particular circumstance. So just want to make it clear this is intended to work across multiple environments, but sometimes it might need a little bit of help and tweaking. Okay. Any questions there, Mike? I know, I think I set aside 30 minutes, so I'm going to use the whole 30 minutes. So
still no questions.
Hopefully that just means I'm covering this really thoroughly and really well. So what I want to show next is just to make sure that you all are aware of some of the other powerful features that we have added to the Bento search. One comment I do want to make before we move forward is these, if you're looking to capture, I did the example of the ebook search. You don't necessarily have to be in the elementary view to get at these pieces of functionality. If you want to capture, anytime you're in the shareable links, you should have access to all of the different Bento boxes and views. You see how it breaks it down. So if I wanted to get an ebooks box that's specifically for that elementary view, where I can search just those elementary grades ebooks, this box will do that for you. It's designed to capture the specific box for that particular view. And the search is different in each view, just so you're aware of that, just to reiterate that. Going back to Galileo, just showing a couple of other things that we've added. I'm going to go ahead and do a search. I did soccer earlier. I'm going to do tennis and rules. And go ahead and do a search here. What I wanted to point out here is just that we have added a ton of functionality to just your general Bento box. I'm actually going to pop into the ebooks box here. And as I look here at the ebooks box, you see that it lets me limit my search in a variety of different ways. One of the things that it adds here, it's a fairly new limiter, is you can add Lexile range. For those of you in K-12, this is a brand new for the ebooks. It's actually applying to all or most of the ebooks now. For a long time, it applied to everything except ebooks, but now this actually applies to ebooks. So you can see, won't necessarily get every single ebook that's in there because the metadata isn't there for every ebook, but the Lexile range can be a limiter that you use across the ebooks now. You can limit by publisher. There's a publisher for each book. By language, again, I get a lot of questions about, well, do we have books that contain other languages? Not per se, but we do have books that at least list another language. I was looking at this recently at the Georgia Libraries Conference with someone who was interested in making sure she could have good books for ESL, and we found a lot of titles in amongst the Galileo ebooks that fit this category. So just being aware that those limits are there now. I think that was one of the limitations that we wanted to address when we first released Bento, and I think we've addressed it really well. Our development team has done a great job of integrating those filters and facets into the Bento box once you click on it now. So here in the scholarly articles box, you'll see a similar degree of filters available, just so that you see that those filters apply on all the Bentos. One thing I will mention is in the Digital Library of Georgia Bento, this is a little bit different in that the Digital Library of Georgia one pulls from a different source. It pulls directly from the Digital Library of Georgia via an API. So you'll see the filters are actually emulating exactly what's in the Digital Library of Georgia. And I'm hoping at some point in the not too distant future, we'll be able to add a similar Bento to Georgia for Georgia historic newspapers. So that's on the sort of our development timeline. So those features and functionalities have been added. The other thing I want to show you quickly here in about the 9 minutes we have left, I want to make sure we also have times for questions. This should take about 5 minutes or less, is customization. So say I'm a library user and I come in and I've got all these different bento boxes, and depending on my particular information need, I may want to adjust what's available to me and what I have to look at. So in order to do that, you may or may not have noticed at some point this little gearbox right here. And if I hover on this, it says customize bentos. So if I click on it, it'll let me prioritize. I can sort. I don't want databases. It's not really that helpful to me. Encyclopedia is helpful. I'm going to leave it. Print materials, not really helpful. I'm going to close that. News, it's a lot of articles. Magazines, I'll leave that. Primary sources, not really. I'm getting some things, but not really helpful to me. Points of view, I don't want that. Learning Express gives me nothing, so I'm going to close that one out. Consumer Reports has 54 things that I might want to check out, as media has a couple things. I don't really want the Digital Library of Georgia results. So you see, I'm able to trim down the bentos that I have. Well, I'm most interested in looking at ebooks. I can drag and drop that to the first position. Well, journals gave me nothing, so I'm going to close that one out. I'm not going to need that. So I've now got, well, ebooks is most helpful. Encyclopedias is second helpful. Magazines is right up there. So I can drag and drop the position of these to the location where I want them. So I can put them in a priority order for myself. And I go ahead and click done. So I've sorted them. I've made it a much more manageable resource list for myself. And also I can save this view, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. So if I am a patron and I like having this all the time, first of all, once I customize it once, as long as I don't clear my cache and cookies, it will save it so that it will have this view for me every time. But don't worry, you can reset it. I'll show you how to do that. But then also, I can capture this. So I'm here in the Bento view. I've done my customization. What if I want to share this view with my colleagues? Or what if I want to share this? What if I want to build, say, a nursing view or a business view with the most relevant boxes for me and the content that I've searched for? I can do that. So if I go into the more options, I have a permalink available to this layout. So I click on permalink, and it gives me a permalink to that bento order. So if I just want to save my search order, I don't care about the results this time, I can copy this. Or if I want to make sure I get my search results too, I can use this link. So it lets me copy either my bento order or my search results in my bento order, and I can reuse those later. Now it will save my bento order for the next time I'm in here. It uses a cookie to do that, so it saves it in browser. So the next time the user logs in, it will retain this view. Well, hey, it retained this view, but I kind of hate it. Now I'm doing something else. I've moved on to another project. Well, hey, you just go here, more options, restore defaults, and the defaults are restored. And you can begin again with editing this down, trimming it down, making it what you want. And once you've done that, you can, again, share it again, or you can just click done and save it. So it gives you that option. The other thing is, if I wanted to start from that, let me go ahead and delete some just to show you. If I wanted to start here from that, I didn't want to use that restore, but if I wanted to start it from my sort of minimal view here, and I have this saved and I've logged in and I've accessed again, well, hey, I want to add some things back now. You can do that too. You can just add things back a little bit at a time. So I can go here, more options, add bentos. And then I can just add the ones back that I would like to have. So I could add encyclopedia back. I can add dissertations. There's also some here that I may not have seen before. I can have consumer health, music scores, journals. So as you can see, I can add bentos back. And then once I'm done, I click done, and it's added all those back for me and saved them in my view. So very simple retention of that via cookies so that you can use it again and again. As long as you don't clear your cache and cookies. If you're planning to clear your cache and cookies, you may want to make sure, again, you can capture the permalink to that layout. Also, it's helpful because if someone calls you and you're working a reference question via the phone and they're looking at a completely different view than you are, it might be helpful to, hey, we're not getting on the same page. Perhaps you can save your link and restore your view so we can be on the same page. But I see a lot of value in this also. For working with researchers, you may want to customize a bento view for a particular web page and be able to share that. Also, just in terms, one more thing, two more thoughts I'll share with you all, and then I'll take some time for Q&A. So the final thing to share is we do want to ultimately move that ability to capture an embeddable bento box or a bento box link. I mean, you can already capture the link in the bento box itself, but we want to move it so that it's easier to capture. So ultimately, we hope to put it somewhere in the Bento environment versus just having it in that shared links page. It just makes a lot of sense to have it in line with the area where you're working. So we will continue to work on the shared Bento functionality until we can sort of integrate it more into the Bento search itself. So I think that's everything that I wanted to share about changes and updates and additions to Bento. I have a slide deck here, and I'll be sure to send it to you. I didn't really cover it. I covered everything on it, but just making sure here. Yep. And I want to hear from you about any questions and ideas that you might have on Bento or just on generally about improving search, things that we might be able to do to improve that environment. I'm going to stop sharing and come in where I can see. I think I have it so that your microphones are open, so you're welcome to share via your microphone, or you can share via chat, and I can actually see the chat now, Mike. Good. Thank you, Marla. Any thoughts, questions, ideas? I'm not going to hold you hostage. You're 3 minutes back if I'm not hearing from you all. But I do hope this was helpful and useful for you. I have Michelle typing. You're most welcome, Michelle. Glad to know. Well, if questions come up after the fact, of course, you'll have my email from the invite. You're welcome to email me directly with any questions that you have. You can always contact Galileo support with questions as well. And we look forward to continuing to work on improving our Bento functionality, our search functionality, and our functionality across the board. Thanks to all the hard work my colleagues do, and thanks to all the great feedback, questions, and sharing that you all do out there in the Galileo community. You all take great care and have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you all.